Hi everyone. Today I will be doing a short video as I walk through a repository and I try to discover it from a product manager's persona. Now that's my role generally. So we will get started now without any further ado. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here now with you. So we're going to start with repository called Fact. So Ruv, who from Agentics Foundation, we few weeks ago, he had shared or showcased some work he had done about a fast augmented context tools capability, which is a lean retrieval pattern that skips vector search. Now, those of you might be wondering what this is. Think of vector space or vector search as a large multidimensional space where there are lots of points meaning different things, and the distances between those show the semantic distance between language, words, phrases. So it allows you to search across multiple semantic, or basically semantically, it allows you to search. Now, this is supposed to be an improved version of it based on a caching system and uses Claude Sonnet 4. And it's meant to capture information that is fast changing, which is a bit of a drawback for general traditional RAG or retrieval augmented generation or retrieval augmented generation processes, right? Because just to explain it very quickly here, if you see here, this the old RAG-based processes, they kind of couldn't keep up with changing information. So every time if your information changes, then the semantic distances between the information has to be recalculated, and therefore it isn't as efficient to give you responses based on continuously changing information. It is good for static data, but not for continuously changing or data that has got high velocity in it. So that's the difference with that's a key difference with between fact and RAG, is that in RAG, as I said, the caching prompts are not properly cached, but in fact it's meant to be more correct. So without going too much into details, retrieval mechanism is better. Data freshness, which is like live data, is what it is capable of representing better. It's more accurate for the reasons I have called out before, are supposed to be. So long story short, traditional RAG approach is user queries. It goes into embeddings. Basically, the query is transformed to zeros and ones, basically black box view, and then it searches a vector space, finds the relevant context and retrieves information, and the LLM interprets that information and gives us back a response. That's what it usually takes 2 to 5 seconds. Fact, MCP, you have seen MCP a few times. It's a protocol called model context protocol, and what model context protocol does is that it allows access via standard tools that is exposed by a system to ferry information that is within the system, and those tools are interpretable to LLMs, and the protocol, you can read it up under Anthropic's documentation on MCP. There's more about it. But Fact effectively uses MCP approach. So it not only caches the prompt, then uses MCP tool execution, and then effectively updates the cache very promptly based on what the underlying system is returning through the MCP tools, because you kind of have the MCP tools in between. So information changes in underlying systems. The tools make sure that the information is retrieved as a chunk, for lack of a better word, and the cache is updated. And so the response times are much quicker back to the end user. That's how I'm interpreting this, right? If I'm getting anything incorrect, feel free to drop a comment or correct me, right? But that's how I'm interpreting it at the moment. So it's supposed to be very effective for financial data retrieval, obviously, which are very dynamic. And so on. So let's get our hands dirty and try to understand this a little bit more. So to do so, I just basically went up here and forked this code base into my repository, which is now, you see I'm on my repository. So I've just basically forked copied the code across to my repository. And I'm going to quick scroll through this if there's anything interesting I've missed out. So yeah, it talks about a few benefits of use cases. Like a financial analyst, a traditional workflow would have taken a few minutes, as you can see, 15, 20, 10 minutes to write SQL queries, debug, optimize, and format results. Whereas to a fact workflow, you just ask, show me quarterly revenue trends for technology companies. It's kind of a phrase, an LM phrase, and you get a full complete analysis delivered in 45 milliseconds. So you can see the huge leap in terms of productivity and, I guess, performance for like West Edison. So that's a financial assistance analyst. For data scientists, it accelerates financial model development. So what does that mean? It's a rapid data exploration, API integrations, performance benchmarking, etc., etc. It has got similar benefits for system administrators, as you can see. You could just generate real-time dashboards more actively. Business stakeholders, you may not have any technical barriers. I mean, you can just use pure natural language. And this is why I think interpreting it from a product manager's or product owner's non-technical person is so very important, is that AI is something not to be seen as esoteric. It is there for everyone. There is no barriers required anymore, right? So it's like you could get instant answers, consistent results. So there is no hallucination, which is a common complaint called out against AI, because here you are effectively using underlying source data to give you the right response. I won't go off tangent, but today I have been in a session where there was a mention about how information is represented into graphs, and basically graphs which are represented into pure JSON files. And the LLMs are using that to give a response back. So effectively, the ability to explain how an LLM has arrived at a particular answer is much more deeper and achievable. So I'll put it in the comments if you want to read more about it. I found it very fascinating. I think that's even beyond fact. It could be an improvement over a fact. But I'll leave it at that. I'll put that in the comment section. So again, won't go much into detail. I'm going to go straight into a bit of it, which you have heard is Jules from Google. So I've never tried this before, so I'm going to try it today. So I'm going to say to Jules that review this repository for me and help me understand how I can get started and use it. I want to experience it for all it claims. Let's see. I don't know whether it's going to come back with a proper response, but I'm just going to say, give me a plan. Let's see what Jules does. But Jules is the new interface from Google. So as you can see, it wants me to, I've never tried this before, so I'm going to just follow the instructions that it tells me. It seems to be building a virtual machine on the cloud, for example, in Google's infrastructure. So effectively cloning my repository, possibly in a virtual machine on Google. So, or GCP, basically. So we'll give it a time. We'll give it some time for what it does. So as you can see, it's now reading the README file. The README file is the one that we read before. So once it happens, let's go back. So it has a plan now. It's going to install the dependencies. It's going to initialize and validate a fact system. It's going to run a basic financial queries using CLI. It'll explore Python SDKs, run performance benchmarks, review Arcade.dev integration, conceptual, review security monitoring features, summarize the findings, and how to get started. Excellent. I'm going to approve the plan. So I'm approving the plan here. And you're going to see it's going to work on installing dependencies. We'll let it progress. Once it does that, I'm going to switch across to the other tab and effectively look at some of the other explanations, right? So here it's talking about Arcade.dev, which provides enterprise-grade infrastructure that complements facts intelligent caching. Okay, fine. I did have that with me, which looks something like this. Actually, let me show you. I think I had it. I had it somewhere. Just need to, yeah, here it is. This is how Arcade.dev looks like. Again, there are these are demo stuff, right? So I've never used this before. I need to explore this a little bit more. So it looks like it is providing a number of API access to various workers and tools. Need to explore this a bit more. That bit of distraction, I guess. But here we are. The fact that it's running still, there have been some failures. It's still initializing and validating the fact system. So we let it flow for a while, I guess. Meanwhile, what we can do is explore Arcade.dev a bit more. So Arcade.dev says go beyond chat. Securely connect your AI to APIs, data, code, and other systems. That's what it does. So you connect your AI to APIs, data, code, and other systems. And I can see why Fact is a fit for this. If we look a little bit more about the picture here, so you got various models, you got various agent frameworks here. So they are coordinated or basically piped through Arcade from a tool management authentication point of view. So it's a security you can build in within Arcade, and you get access to a number of tools and MCP servers, right? So MCP servers, again, to remind everyone, is a way model context protocol to provide tool-based access to data in underlying systems that is natural language friendly, right? So you effectively, that's where natural language, AI, and tools, so you are clear what information will be secured from within the applications because they are kind of exposing it for AI to use. Loosely you can relate it to API, but this is kind of very, it doesn't have the structure that an API requires, so it's very much user friendly and in natural language. So again, it's an AI tool calling platform. That's what Arcade is. For the first time, AI can securely act on behalf of users through Arcade's authenticate integrations or tools in AI lingo, right? That's what it does. To connect AI to emails, files, calendars, and APIs to build assistants that don't just chat, they get work done. Excellent. I like that. Start building in minutes with our pre-built connectors or custom SDKs like product features. They explain a little bit about how can you go and get it installed. So that's the package. Basic stuff, agent auth. Okay, so this is basically the authentication by the looks of it. Yeah, okay. Custom tools. I really like the website or the way they have explained this step by step. You go the pre-built connectors, authentication, pre-built connector code. You have the custom tool SDK. So you got to create a new email. Okay, so effectively, easily tailored integration extend Arcade's functionality. So enter the email, recipient message, subject goes to Arcade. Okay, tool evaluations, you can benchmark, you can deploy anywhere as well, on-premise as well. Okay, there are some sample apps to get started from concept to production in minutes. That's very powerful. One AI agent to run email, calendar, and code in Slack. I must try this. I think if anyone else has tried this, let me know. Build a Telegram bot that creates Google Calendar events using natural language in just 30 minutes. This step-by-step shows how Arcade.dev simplifies OAuth and calendar. I feel there are similarities with NA10, which is another workflow automation tooling. I think this could be interesting to explore because this is a bit more code-based, and so probably arguably better than a low-code platform. Low-code platforms look attractive, but they can have their own learning curve. So it's always better to do code nowadays, in my personal view, because doing code is not as, I guess, challenging as it used to be, because LLMs do most of it anyways for you. So you can still build code using natural language. So I've explored NA10, which is the low code platform, and and I think from my experience, I think the low code platforms seem attractive from a marketing point of view, but I mean, learning code is still the better approach. Anyways, we should go back to see what Jules is doing now. So if we go back to share this tab instead, I can see there are some errors, but some things have happened here. It's doing something here. It ran a few things. What companies are in the technology sector? Okay, it's asking questions. So that's the main file. So source code config.py. I don't know why it has opened config.py. Okay, there are some tools here, but what's going on? Run basic financial queries using CLI. Okay. Jules is working still, so I don't really know what it is doing. I can see some failures here with the main function, main Python script. It's okay. The reason it is not working is that I need to provide the keys, and I don't believe we have provided the keys here, which is why I think we are not getting any responses. 401, I can see there, 401. Authentic, of course, because I haven't provided the keys. Okay, so I need to provide the keys. What keys do I need to provide? Let me try and okay, Arcade API keys. Okay, I believe I need to provide you with wait. Let us go up there. I just want to copy paste that. So there we go. Control C with these two. I don't believe I had added those to the .in file. So if I tell it now, let's see what it does. So for example, I identified an error here, and I've said I haven't provided you that. Okay, it wants me to update the .n file. I can rerun. Okay, so I'll need to check it to hit that. Do you want me to, where is, okay, because I'm not sure whether I need to, where is the .n file? Okay, because obviously I'm now in Google's infrastructure. I'm no longer on my GitHub repository because it had cloned there. So we'll need to figure out where it expects, because I believe I need to update it in the cloud, ephemeral cloud environment that is created for me. Yeah, that's what it is saying there. So I'm pretty sure there must be a terminal here that I can use. So there says the code. If I maximize that, if I go there, codecast, new task, review this repository, me is still working on it. So when you do live demonstration, you always see that there will be problems that you face, and this is an example of a problem that I'm trying to troubleshoot and think my way through. So what I don't like about it is not made the user interface very easy to understand for someone who's not used to it. Because I may not know what is codecast. Okay, anyways, it is coming soon. But review this repository, that's my command. But if you want me to look at my .n.tem file, which you have copied, you need to let me know where it is, because otherwise, how, I may not know that. Okay, you taking it. That's not what I need to go to. It's a beta. It's a beta product, so I can understand. I am not sure where I can find the cloned code base. I looked through the Jules interface, but do not see it anywhere. Surely I do not need to modify my own repository in GitHub. What's interesting is that it can spawn multiple agents in the background. So I'm having multiple discussions with it, but it's not sequential. It's processing those on a parallel basis. So that's impressive, actually. It's quite, it's able to handle the unknown questions. So now it's saying you don't need to modify your own GitHub, which I know. I'm working in an isolated. That's also I know. Okay, but where is it? I'm referring to it within the isolated. So where is the isolated copy? You won't be able to directly access it, modify this unknown file yourself to the interface. My previous suggestion. Okay, now it's realized that it was wrong. For now on, I'll proceed the current plan using the placeholder keys. This means a feature. This means, what does it say? Yeah, so this means the features relying on those external services or queries for remote won't function fully and will be mostly performing the testing the parts of the system that can operate offline or in a demo mocked mode. Okay, I'm happy with that. I apologize. Okay, that's good. So now that it knows, I've finished exploring the code base as we discussed. Would you like me to try anything? Okay, can we perform some mock test? Can we perform some mock tests so that a user, a non-technical user, can realize and understand more clearly what this repository code is capable of, right? So let's see what it does now. So this is quite fascinating, isn't it? You mean you could pick up a code base randomly and you could just interact with the code base, without having to worry too much about what is there on the, whether it's what language it is, what the complexity is. If you're a product manager and you have an idea, and you go into a README file like this, right? See, this could be quite applicable for me. So I want to explore this a bit more. I might not. We wouldn't have been able to do that a few months ago, but you can now. And I think that's the real power of how AI is democratizing the knowledge of capabilities that is generally available in the open source community. So that's an interesting idea for a mock test. I can create a new plan focusing on conceptually walking through key user-facing claims like natural language queries, caching benefits, hybrid execution choices using the existing code structure for illustration. This would aim to make the repository's capabilities clearer for a non-technical user, even without live API independent execution. Yeah, that's actually sounds good. Yes, that sounds good to me. Okay. Because we all know if we provide the API keys, the LLMs are there in the cloud and they will just respond. So that's not a problem. So now Jules is thinking how it can execute that plan for me. Well, I'm inclined to now actually test this through my local machine, which I shall do after we see what happens here. Because what I'll also do here then is I'm going to set up my cursor environment. I'm going to close the repo. I'm going to set up the keys on my local machine, and I'm going to run some commands. So whilst this does, on the other screen, I'm going to do exactly that. So first I need to set it up. So bear with me whilst I look on the other screen. Is because I'm opening up my cursor window there. So we will do that today as well. So this is open project. I need a new folder. So I'll create a new folder. Fact, create pen. Okay. So let me show you what I'm doing so it's a bit clearer. I am going to share a different screen now. And I think the way I share a different screen is I stop sharing first and I share my cursor window. In fact, I can share the entire screen because there's nothing confidential on the screen. So I'm going to just go here and say, share this screen. So you would see my full screen now. You see a blank screen because I haven't set anything up yet, which I shall do slowly. I open a terminal window here. So this is cursor. I use cursor because generally, like for a $20 subscription, I get a lot of value from it, especially if I'm a product manager and not. I'm building for hobby really at the moment. So I get a lot more value. What I need to do is I need to effectively, and this is, I have a blank slate here. I know where my repository is, which is this one. I'm going to say clone the repository. I can just do a git clone. I can just put a git clone command here, but I just wanted to show you how you generally want to do this if you were if you didn't know the commands generally. Yeah, so I wanted to showcase that. So bear with me. Okay. Okay. Once that happens, let's see what's happening in Jules territory. So in Jules territory, it's completed a conceptual walkthrough. It identified 3 key user-facing mock walkthroughs. Okay. It says natural language for data access, intelligent caching for speed and cost reduction, and hybrid execution model intelligent routing. Then it says completed walkthrough. What did it exactly do? Describe the intended step-by-step flow, but I don't see any output. Okay, but perhaps it is just doing in a non-transparent way to me to mock local execution tools. Okay, but I don't see any outputs. How do I, as a user, know what you have done? I want to experience it. See, let's see what it comes back with. At the same time, we go to cursor here. You see, it's done a lot of things already. Whilst I was on the other screen, it's gone here. It's done a clone of the repository, and then it's set it up. Now, the thing to note here is that you have this .m file, right? So there are these placeholders here which says specify certain keys, etc., etc., and there's a lot of configuration. I need to kind of set up these environment variables by the look of it. So I'm going to do that momentarily. But I don't really have a webhook here. I haven't set up a webhook. Webhook is an ability to connect to an external service and communicate with it through HTTPS. But do I need to do that? I don't know, to be honest, at the moment. I'm just, I want to do this locally, but I think that the minimum what I need to do is a key for Anthropic and a key for Arcade. That's the minimum I think I need to do. It's what I'm guessing at the moment. So let me try this. Control F, Anthropic. But I don't see Anthropic, so I don't know why it asked me Anthropic as well. We need to troubleshoot that. Let's see what's going on here. You are right. My summaries aren't the same as you directly experiencing the output. My apologies. I can't lie and run a live interactive demo of full fact application. I can try to make the conceptual walkthrough more tangible. For instance, for a natural language query, I could show mock SQL I could generate and actually run that SQL on a sample database, show you the raw database output that will still simulate the full system, but will give you concrete output that from parts I can execute with that approach. Yeah, I think so. Yes, that would work. I am presuming my interaction or yours or your simulated depiction of my or another user's interaction with fact will be in natural language. Okay. Just thinking, because obviously, if you go back to the repo claims that you can actually interact with basically high velocity data in a very natural language, right? That is what it says. Show me the latest inventory levels for products with low stock levels. I mean, this is a good example to say. I will just copy this, right? That's how it's supposed to be. So let's see what Jules says. Still thinking. Yeah, yes, absolutely. Interaction style in natural language query, just as you use, I'll explain. Intended process for parts I can execute, etc., etc. Demonstrate natural language to results. So it's trying to run a SQL-like database. So it's basically put some dummy data on a fact demo database that's a SQL-like. Select ticker, company name, etc. But that's actually, what is it? More. Let's go to more. Demonstrate natural language. Okay. Okay. Start with natural language query. What companies are in the technology sector? Explain how, so it knows what to do. Formulate like the SQL query. And this is what. So now it's trying to demonstrate. So explain the results. So it's basically following a step. I'm not going to go through the details at the moment. So it's basically reading the instructions from the repo. Now it ran. Then it ran something else. And it's got results here. Okay. What companies under the technology sector? Okay. So basically, that query is translated into a SQL query. So it says what companies are in the technology sector. Took that, and then it simulated that would formulate and execute the query and present the raw output the user, explain the fact, and then format this in the user-friendly. It's just demonstrating what would happen. Okay, so there is one is a simple NLQ to SQL to DB result. Second is demonstrate caching mechanics and simulated benefits, whereby explain the result from step one ideally be cached by cache manager. And if cache manager logs any activity, so this is the results from step one will be cached by the cache manager. That's what it says. And when a query is processed by main.py, oopsie daisy, it keeps moving back and forth here. Even if it fails in the LLM step, this might be running Python. Okay, I'm not sure I understand this. It's too complex to isolate for this demo. Complex, as I say, is that same NLP. Oh, wow, this keeps moving back and forth. Okay. Conceptions with the same NLQ where entered again fact would do some kind of cache retrieval, same cache key, generate the same cache key. Yeah, okay. You then check the cache in a real scenario with a prior successful query will find the data. So it's basically cache in action. That's what it is showing. And this is final summary. Okay, recap that. Okay, we see that demonstrated the NLQ to SQL to DB process here. Then what companies are in the technology sector? It ran again, demonstrated caching mechanism, cache is active. So it's basically saying, okay, caching works. Files are completed. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, looking at it, I mean, Jules, I mean, this was a test of Jules of what Jules can do. First time I'm doing it. I mean, it's pretty capable, really, to understand what is going in the remote database and kind of help you. And now I understand the concept of code. What was it that they said? Code Codecast. I now understand. I did see that somewhere, but now I can't see it where it was. There's a concept called Codecast coming in. I think that's what they mean, which is exactly what I'm kind of doing at the moment. But okay, so it's done that. I want to ask it something else now, which is to say, it's a beta version, so I think they're doing a lot of limit, right? I mean, we've been using it for the last 30 minutes now. Obviously, I've not been charged anything. It's quite good. Okay, very good actually. Pleased. Okay, so we stop here. What I want to do is ask it a question. Is that I have now locally cloned the repository, right? I want to interact properly with an LLM. I looked what is the minimum information I need to specify in the .env file for the repository to work. For the code base code to work as expected. I can then experience what it does from my local laptop's terminal. Okay, I'm going to ask that question to Jules. I could have asked the same question to my... Actually, I could ask the same question to my cursor. Chat here, right? Let's see. Okay, I'll change the query slightly. LM. I want to use. I want to use the application we just cloned, right? With the remote LM, which I believe systems that I believe the application connects to. Okay. Okay, we ask it that. What is it saying? It's still thinking here. Let's see what cursors our clone for Sonnet tells me. Okay, now it's researching to say, okay, what's the minimum that you need to configure for fact to work? Okay, there is an environment of, okay, we say that there is a .env.template and .env.example file in the repository. Oops. Also read the readme.md file. Telling it that. That's great. To get it working with a local with an LLM, the minimum you need to add in your end file is a valid entropic. Set the dev skip API validation to false as well. Optional, we don't need Arcade. Remember to potentially uncomment the tools and tool choice segments in source code driver. If your entropic SDK version supports them, as I had to comment them out to proceed without the key. Okay, that's not bad. So we do that. What we do here is that I'm not sure if I have an entropic key that I can use, but if I look at it in the environment template here, okay, there we go. So it's taken that. It's now creating the end file. We will see shortly. You should see an end file coming up here shortly. If I go here and ls.env, we don't have it. Okay, it wants me to create an end file, is it? Okay, let's do that. Let's go here and say new file, and we say .env. Okay, we just call it .env, and we say I don't need arcade thing. I think we just need to have says these two. Let's specify that I will need an entropy key, which I will get. I need to install the dependencies by the look of it. So we need a VN here. We need a we use virtual environment to isolate Python dependencies effectively. Okay, to isolate Python dependencies. It looks like we're using Python. Pip is Python. I believe pip is Python library. It's installer. So let it create the virtual environment. Okay, we run that. It's created the virtual environment there. I need to activate the virtual environment, so I'm going to activate it. Source vn bin activate, right? So I'm just activated. So you see that now when I now do the dependency setting, which you saw here earlier on, it will be created within my virtual environment and therefore avoid any conflicts with the global Python environment. So when I now do this, all of this installation is going to happen within my virtual environment. But before I do that, I still need to get this. I'm going to move this away because I can't show you my API key. So I'm going to generate an API key, and I'm going to move this browser as well on the other window here. And I need an entropy key. Entropy key, I do have an entropy key from what I remember. So let me just go first and check if I still have money in that key. So if I go to my login, try Cloud, is it here? No, I think it's a platform, not entropic.com. No, entropic API keys. Get an API key. Okay, I can show you this. I'll show you the process, and then, but I can't show you the key. So I'm going to log in, and then basically, I'm going to log in with my Gmail ID here, for example. Now I'm going to move it from here because I don't want to show you my keys. Okay, I just log in. I don't have a key, so I'm going to get a key. Looks like I have a key, but do I have money in the key? Is the question. Let me check. Yeah, I do have some marginal funding left, so I should be okay, I guess. Okay, I've saved my key there. I don't need Arcade because I'm running it locally, so we'll try not to use Arcade. And going back to Jules, as you can see, all it says here is that minimum is entropy key, and I need to set the dev skip validation to false as well. And I don't even have that, so it should be all right, I guess. I just copy this, I guess, in case it needs it. So Control C. Okay, I've done that. Now I'm going to come back here. The only thing which we don't have is there are a lot of things being commented out. Okay, there it is. That's what it was wanting here. So instead of creating my entire, what's the difference between this? I don't know why the author has created two different example m.temp files. I do not understand that. Perhaps it was just part of the experiment, or part of the it's just a legacy left over. But I'm going to go by what it has said. So now I say is that I have done that, I have done that, I don't need that, I did that, I did that, I did that. Now you basically you do that. Virtual environment setup, it says, okay, I have set up my .env file, just the big key. I believe that is sufficient. So when you ask it, okay, there's an error. Something has passed, but something has failed. Okay, it's found an issue. There's no resilience, the py model in cache directory. Let me check the driver, the py file to see what is trying to input and fix the issues. I can see the issue, but the input resilience model from cache, but doesn't exist. Let me check what actually is available in the cache module. Doesn't include any resilience cover. Let me try to fix it. Just trying going to go and fix it automatically. Well, I'll let it complete. Now I remove the usage of the components of fact driver. I don't know what it is really doing here, but I can follow the screen to say, broadly I can get the vibe. So this is, I'm purely vibing at the moment with an intent. I mean, I can obviously go into the detail, a little bit into the details, but for now I'm following the vibe. Arcade I can understand. I'm not using Arcade. Yeah, I don't mind about Arcade. We need both keys, it says. Okay, live data retrieval, so we do need that. Okay, let me set up Arcade then. 1 second. I did have Arcade. I was showing you earlier on. So I am on the cloud dashboard. So I can get a key. Let me get it first. And I say secrets in my other one. So I do need a, I can Arcade API keys. If I go to my dashboard, I'm looking on the other screen, by the way, so just bear with me once I figure out what I need. API keys is down here. Okay, I need to generate an API key, which I'm doing it now. Just key is what I call it, create API key. Okay, not a problem. I'm copying that. Obviously, I have to paste that into my cursor. So I'm going to move the cursor onto the other screen, go back to my .env file, and I say here, it says to me that I need to have the Arcade API key. So RCADE underscore API key is equal to this bit, right? I've just pasted it here. I can't show you for understandable reasons. Now I'm bringing it back here. I have done that. Okay, get an Arcade API key. Check if there's a demo test mode that might work without Arcade. Ask our maintainers if this. Okay, I have added and Arcade API key to my .env file. Okay, that's what I'm telling it now. Okay, failed. Okay, service connection, unexpected keyword proxies. Okay, pip show Anthropic. Code is using older version of Anthropic SDK that doesn't support proxies parameter. Okay, so something, I've got an older version of Anthropic, it looks like. Package. So far, so good. Okay, it's trying to run it now. Getting the same connection issue. Because it's been more than 5 seconds, I'm going to move this to background. This is people criticize cursor for this. Actually, something. Okay, it doesn't make sense to me. What's going on here? Everything's a tick box, so looks everything is fine by now. Okay, let's know. You can ask using natural language. Really? Let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. Control C. The 3 tools registered is using Cloud 3 Haiku. Fax system. Fast access cache tools. Ask question about financial data. Did it do anything at all? Got unexpected keyword proxies. Okay. So there seems to be an issue with my Anthropic access here by the looks of it. Let me try something else. I was hoping I could show you the output, but obviously I have an error here, which it looks like, I'm not sure I can resolve it, accept it, but I see these errors. So the LLM is trying to make a call to the Anthropic's API. So the LLM is the Anthropic LLM trying to make call to the, okay. It depends here. This is where the error is happening. This thing call. Initialization looks correct. The issue might still be some conflict. Anthropic XDP is being imported incorrectly. So it's trying to pip install Anthropic update. Everything seems successful. New release of pip is available. Wait, I noticed something strange. Looks like we're installing to a different Python environment. Interesting. Interesting. That is, why is it installing to a different Python environment? Which Python environment is it installing to? Okay, so it's trying to upgrade to, okay, run that. Okay, let's try again now. Okay, security validation not available. Processing your query. No text response received from LLM. So it's actually not working by the looks of it. So let's ask the LLM. I apologize. But it gracefully exits. I get this response now. I won't send enter because it's still trying to do something here. Let me not stop it. Actually, let me ask it. Okay, no more process error. The fact CLI is up and running and accepting queries. LLM is responding. The response format isn't being processed correctly. Let me fix the response processing logic. Perfect. I can see the issue. Looking at line 249, the search is a problem with response processing logic. The code is expecting something different. New entropic. So driver.py. Log level temperature, the debug information. Okay. All right, let's run it, accept it. And we're going to just ask the same question again. What was the question we were asking last time? We asked the question as follows. List all financial records for this year. Okay. Right, we're going to give it another probably 5 to 10 minutes. However, I want to call out to show is that although I couldn't show you a proper results, and I probably have to troubleshoot this, I may not complete it. My whole intention today was to show the idea that we had Ruve who published a repository. I wanted to understand this repository from a product manager's perspective. I may not know everything, but I want to understand what this is. So I read the README file. I had obviously managed to clone it to my repository. Then I showed using Jules how we interacted and tested the repository, and then effectively also progress from there to try and experience the repository on the local laptop using, as you see, I've been using natural language to interact with it all along, right? So that I hope is useful. Context, one final try. System is experiencing issues, it says. So I think we're going to stop here. The purpose is we still achieved a few things. We understood, to repeat myself again, the fact that as we could look at any publicly available repository, not just the README file, but actually get the code properly interrogated through obviously the modern technology. This is Google Jules. And then once you understand it a bit more, played around with it, getting it deployed and getting to experience what the code is, does it meet your requirements? Of course, hopefully in a lucky scenario, things work seamlessly, but obviously many times you hit these kind of issues. You could obviously continue to troubleshoot on your own or collate other people who might work with others and then try and fix it, and so on and so forth. But that's the whole purpose of today, really. So I hope this was useful. I am thank you for listening. And again, any questions, comments, leave comments, and I shall also leave any relevant information in comments. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. That's the end of it today.